Episode 5 of Extra Credit. We're back.
We are back. I'm glad you did the intro. I always do it.
I did it.
You did. Episode 5. We're back. Same spot. Definitely not the same clothes. And definitely not right after we just filmed episode 4.
That was 2 years ago when I filmed episode 4, and now we're here.
2 years? Yeah. We haven't aged at all.
No.
We've been in the hyperbolic time chamber.
Sure.
It's from Dragon Ball Z.
Sure.
Okay, cool. So we're episode 5.
Oh.
How you feeling?
Good.
Because it's been 2 years since we filmed the last one, so.
I want to eat lunch, but I'm good.
You're hungry?
Yeah.
I'm not slaving him or forcing him.
No, I chose to do this.
He gets breaks, and I'm fair, and he gets time off and paid vacation, benefits for his family. He's paid well. Right?
Yeah.
What are you doing?
There's something under my feet.
Nice. All right, so in this episode, all about physical activity, exercise, movement, whatever you want to call it. I don't like calling it exercise because to me that implies that you're trying to lose weight or something, right? Whereas I think physical activity is just something we should be doing all day, every day, like brushing our teeth.
Yeah.
I think it should just be part of the routine. So, in terms of school, our school, what role does phys ed play, would you say? That rhymed.
I don't know, it's just normal.
Okay.
We do it.
Like, what's the role of it in our school, as in, like, how important is it? How much time do we allocate to it? Right? Why? Or just talk about it in your own perspective.
Because you believe it.
You're making me sound like I forced you.
No, I meant to say we believe in it.
Uh-huh. What does that mean?
We both believe in being active and just, it feels good. Your body feels good when you
I could sit here and list off
exert it.
all the scientific and
Yeah, it's boring though.
biological reasons why it's good for us, right? Nobody wants to hear that. In your own words, what has physical activity done for you?
I just feel good after.
Okay, what does that
Makes me
mean?
feel good.
Because I think a lot of people need to hear that, especially people your age, and then adults watching and listening, right? They need to know that it's more than just weight loss or something in that regard, right? It's much bigger than that.
It gives you a thing to look forward to and to work towards.
So it's another thing to progress
You think
at.
I want to go work out at 7 in the morning? You're not forcing me at all. I'm choosing to do that.
Oh, I know I'm not forcing you because you didn't do it for a while.
I know.
We've had a struggle getting you to be active in general.
Yeah.
So you say it's something else to progress at.
Yeah.
So then why are you getting out of bed at 7 in the morning, doing this before school?
Because I enjoy it. You need to find enjoyment in it. And that doesn't just go for working out, it's for everything. You need to find enjoyment in it. And if you don't find the enjoyment in it, why are you doing it?
So how did you find the enjoyment in it?
I force myself to do it.
For reference, he lifts weights and he bikes. We're going to get to both those in a second. This principle is applicable to any physical activity, right? So
the bikes came with interest. The lifting weights, I just forced myself to do it. And eventually it became interesting.
A lot of people have a problem with that, though, the idea of forcing yourself. And I, myself, would not recommend anybody forcing themselves. I recommend what you just said about bikes. Finding an activity that interests them, that they enjoy, but they're getting physical.
I found that after forcing myself, that's the thing.
But why did you force yourself in the beginning?
I hated it.
But why did you do it altogether at all?
Because I knew it was good for me.
You knew it was good for you.
I knew the benefits.
So you understood the benefits, and you also understood that to get to that spot where you enjoy it, there'd have to be a little bit of forcing yourself.
A little bit of pain.
So then how did you convince yourself to do it day after day? Or whatever, however many times you did.
I knew it was going to be worth it. And there's always pain with more reward. If you have too much pain and not enough reward,
you give up.
That's not the right way. You need it the other way around.
You need more reward
than pain.
So, I mean, not many people your age can say that they forced themselves to do something they didn't enjoy and then now they like it. Can you walk us through that process?
Ooh.
Because I remember why I did it.
Yeah.
When I was 17.
Yeah.
Right? I told you this story.
I think so.
It's funny.
Yeah.
For reference, I always struggled with my body image and my weight growing up. And then I had a horrible eating disorder when I was in senior year of high school, or basically starved myself because I was like, it's time to lose this weight. And then I did it. I was so skinny. I dropped weight so fast. And I was standing outside my locker with my then high school girlfriend. And this kid walked by, never forget him, said, man, your girlfriend's got bigger arms than you. And it just absolutely destroyed my self-esteem. And from that point on, I was just like, I have to be in the gym and I have to change the way my body looks. It was unhealthy at first, and then I grew to like it, right? But I had this really unfortunate motivator. Yeah. And I don't suggest people getting a motivator like that.
I think, like biking, I think that's actually a good point. Because, like, biking, I had to become stronger because if I crashed, without making my body strong and being able to be resilient, I'm going to get hurt, which is what used to happen. I broke my rib last year. I messed up all my legs. Like, my legs,
you had a lot of back pain. You had some back pain.
I had a lot of back pain. My legs look like a battlefield right now.
So you started off with biking, right?
Yeah.
And you found the activity that you enjoy, which was biking, right? And then you realized to progress at this thing that I love doing, I'm going to have to
up something.
You're going to have to work out, strengthen your muscles.
Yeah.
So
it's even if you enjoy walking around the block.
Yeah.
And you get tired from that, you need to work on something.
Yeah, exactly. I actually really like that. I've always looked at working out like you have the activities that you enjoy, right?
And
for me,
that just helps the activity.
Exactly. And then you have the stuff that's just absolutely necessary for like just overall human function that has carryover into the activities you enjoy. Yeah. So like I love rock climbing and I love skateboarding, right?
Yeah.
I know that lifting weights and doing that style of training is going to have direct carryover to the things I enjoy. And when I'm better at the things, and when we're better at the things we enjoy, we're just more motivated to do them. Yeah. And it creates this awesome circle. You're improving in biking, right? Because you're improving in the gym.
Yeah.
And because you're improving at biking,
it makes me enjoy the gym.
The gym more, which pushes you harder in the gym, which then makes you better at biking.
Yeah.
So it's this awesome circle that keeps going around. So would you say then that, because I tried to get you to lift weights for that purpose at first. I was like, I'm not here to make you gain muscle or be a gym bro. It was more about, I know you want to get better at biking. Here's an awesome way to do it. Strengthen your knees, your back, your quads, whatever. What was finally like that tipping point where you're like, I understand what you're talking about? Because I think if, again, kids your age, if they can understand that, I think they can apply some things to that. To their own life, I mean.
I don't know what the turning point was.
Because for about a year or so, you were on and off.
Yeah.
And I remember we got into a big argument once because I was trying to explain to you why you should work your legs, and you're like, I don't need to. And then out of nowhere one day, you were just training them. I didn't even have to say anything to you.
Yeah.
Do you remember any of that time period, or? Because I don't really remember what it was like for you to be resistant. You're so consistent now. I almost forgot what the old was like. What do you think?
I think I was kind of just like, you got to do it. I don't remember really one scenario.
Was there like maybe a time in the gym where like maybe you moved a weight you hit a certain weight, or like it just felt good and you're like, okay, I see this? Or did you go biking once and notice that, I'm a little bit better than I used to be?
Well, yeah, I did that, but I also, if I was going biking and I was getting hurt, I was like, that just doesn't work.
Did maybe you got hurt one time and you're like, all right, enough is enough?
Yeah, I was getting hurt and I was like, I need to fix this.
Change something, right?
I don't feel good if I don't work out and bike, and my body doesn't feel good.
Yeah, your body doesn't feel good.
Yeah.
Okay.
And so I think back to the last episode of traumas or whatever, I think I kind of started to get over that, and it gave me time to also think about working out and just activity. So I think for a lot of that time I was thinking about just life and whatever. Now it gave me time to think about.
That's a really interesting perspective.
Like my body, actually, not just...
You were spending so much brain power and mental energy and focus on your traumas and all the stuff that wraps around that. You worked through a lot of that. Yeah. And again, you're not cured.
No.
You just learned to deal with it better. No, I don't think so. I think you just learned to deal with it better. So
and you learn how to use it.
That'll be a future episode for sure. I'm really excited to talk about that one. So you're spending less energy focused on the trauma, which means you have more brain power to focus on something else. Yeah. So you think you were able to think about physical activity and exercise and stuff differently?
Yeah.
And then all those things we just said came together at the same time and started to click?
Yeah.
Huh. So I think that's the beautiful thing, though, is because I have this one moment that I'll never forget when I was 17 that has changed the course of my life in terms of physical activity. You don't have that.
No.
You have a bunch of things coming together. So I think that
me telling myself I'm a failure, basically.
Oh my God.
It's the reality. You kind of just have to do it sometimes.
I mean,
reality sometimes hurts.
Again, I don't recommend anyone talking down to themselves, but at the same time,
sometimes you just gotta tell yourself you're a failure, and it makes you work harder.
You know, I think that's interesting. Again, I'm teetering because I definitely do that in my own personal life, but I would never do that as a teacher. I would never tell someone to, hey, tell yourself you're a failure or you suck or anything like that. I use it
on myself.
Isn't that really interesting?
Yeah.
Like sometimes when I skip a workout, which I hardly ever do really, or like if I do a workout and I half-ass it or whatever, I'm just like, nah, dude, you failed yourself.
Yeah.
This is not acceptable. Yeah. And then the next time I go in harder.
Yeah.
But if you come to me and you're like, how can I motivate myself? I would, and I never have, right?
No.
I would never be like, tell yourself you suck and you hate yourself.
No, I know. Failure. No, I've done that myself. I don't recommend doing that.
I don't recommend that either.
No, because then you get caught in like a rat and whatever.
Yeah.
There's kickback from that, but there's also you either succeed in that or don't.
Uh-huh.
And you're in a 50-50 area with that.
I mean, as much as we don't want to admit it, I feel like that is a really good motivator. It's just being like...
Other people also, we were talking about this a couple days ago.
Kind of like disgusted with ourselves.
Yeah. You got to be disgusted with yourself to work harder at something.
I'm going to change the definition of disgusted. You have to just be sort of like fed up with your current situation.
Yeah, annoyed with what's happening.
With yourself, where you're like...
I need to work harder on this. I need to improve on that.
Like you were getting hurt over and over again.
Yeah.
You weren't disgusted with yourself. No. You were just like, look, I want to progress at biking. And what can I do to get there? I'm tired of getting hurt. Okay, maybe lifting weights and doing specific exercises is what I need to do. Yeah. Let me just suck it up, do it.
And then I start to see the progress, and then it makes me want to do it more.
So here's the distinction, though, which I think is really important. You don't enjoy the legitimate act of lifting. You enjoy the benefit and the carryover it has into your biking and other things. Which at some point
I'm starting to actually enjoy the lifting part.
Totally, which is great. Yeah. That's awesome because that's going to keep you going. Yeah. But ultimately what's driving you and motivating you is the
progress and the end result.
You're like, I know if I hit my squats and these exercises and that exercises, when it comes time for bike season, I'm going to be a monster.
Yeah.
And you've progressed. Of course, you've seen the carryover.
Yeah.
I'll never forget when you called me. It was like either a Saturday night or a Sunday night. You're like, I was able to do something I couldn't do, and it's all because of working out. And I was just like, I wanted to be like, I told you so. But I was just really happy that, you saw the carryover.
Yeah.
So we went on a lot of tangents there. We said a lot. It doesn't just have to be lifting weights, right? I'm not saying that the only way to get active is lifting weights. No. But clearly finding your biking, like the biking for you, has been incredibly impactful.
Yeah.
Right? Some form of consistent physical activity.
Doesn't have to be mountain biking. Everybody should ride.
I also think, well, maybe. I mean, why?
You can get in nature. You can exercise your legs.
Sure.
It's just... Yeah, I mean, it's not for everybody, obviously, but yeah.
You might be biased.
I'm a little biased.
I feel that way about rock climbing. If you think you're strong, go rock climbing. I've seen the most buff gym bros who are confident going to the gym. They're like, I can do 100 pull-ups. They can't even do the baby wall because it's a vastly different type of strength. Yeah. You think everyone should mountain bike.
No, I don't think everyone should mountain bike.
Or bike in general.
Just bike.
Yeah. We're both biased. Yeah. I mean, look, I think everyone should take lifting weights seriously.
Yeah.
I think the benefits far outweigh everything else.
Yeah.
But again, I'm biased. Yeah. I don't care if you run, you swim, you hike, you walk around the block like you said, you play at the park with your child, you freaking row, kayak, it does not matter.
Yeah.
As long as your body is moving, it's important.
Yeah.
So we talked about biking is your thing it just so happens to also be the thing you're passionate about. So it's a win-win. It's something
That's all I do.
Gets you physically active and you're passionate about it.
It is a kind of win-win.
I think it's a win-win.
Yeah.
I couldn't have asked for a better passion for
you.
You
Can spend money, which is nice.
Oh, I don't want to talk about that. Then you talked about there's the sucky, you have to do it physical activity, which is like lifting weights or stretching or whatever it might be.
Sometimes it's going to suck. Sometimes life is going to suck.
And sometimes biking is going to suck.
Yeah.
It's not always fun. The last time I went rock climbing, I sucked and I was just having an off day.
Yeah.
But does that mean I'm going to hate it forever?
No.
Obviously not, right? It's okay you have to embrace the off days because it's just part of life. Not every day is good. As cliche as that is.
Yeah.
So I think what I want to ask you is, has there been carryover into other aspects of your life? As in like your focus, your patience, how calm you are, reading ability,
I think
math, I don't know, anything.
But not directly from that. I think
Explain.
Because like I've committed to something and that gives me just like a boost of commitment juice in like a way, if that makes sense.
It's really interesting. No, it does.
And so it makes other things be able to commit to, if that like, and be able to focus more on that.
So through committing to physical activity,
it makes it easier to commit to other things.
You've practiced the skill of commitment.
Yeah.
That's huge.
Yeah.
So you think from committing to physical activity, staying consistent, sticking with something that sucks a lot of the times, you've learned how to just
focus and commit to other things normally that I wouldn't like. Even if I don't like it, I've learned to be able to suck it up, kind of, and just commit to it.
Can you give me an example of something else you've committed to after physical activity?
I guess in school, like math, where I feel like I've been more open to accepting new things and just.
Now, are you consciously thinking about it? So like.
No, I'm not consciously. I just think it made me more open to it.
So now when you reflect on your old self.
Yeah.
You notice that you're able to stick with new things better now.
Yeah.
And you think exercise or physical activity.
Because I kind of forced myself to do that, and I've learned how to commit to something.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
I've never heard you say that, actually.
Yeah, no, I've never said that to you.
I think that's really cool. I'm trying to think in my own life, I 100% think so. Yeah. I think the greatest way to build discipline, and again, I'm 100% biased, is through exercise, right? Lifting weights. There's nothing like getting up at 6 a.m. or, early, whatever that is for you, being like, I do not want to get up, but then going to the gym, lifting weights. Yeah. Even if you have the worst gym session ever.
And it doesn't have to be gym, like you said. It could be going on a run. Walking around the block.
Going on a swim.
Going on a swim.
Going for a bike ride.
Swimming.
Going swimming, thank you. A bike ride.
Anything. Literally anything.
When you just do...
walk up and down your stairs 12,000 times.
I do that sometimes.
There you go.
And I hate it, but I do it. I think that's totally true. I mean, when you just...
set your mind on something and commit to it.
Because it's hard to move our bodies, right?
Oh, yeah.
I
don't want to get up at 7 every morning.
8-mile hikes that we frequently do.
Probably like that 1% of 15-year-olds that get up at 6:30.
I mean, that's why you have the skills you have, though. There's no hey, look, if you're getting up at the time you're getting up at and you're progressing and successful, more power to you. Yeah. I'm not saying that you have to get up at 6 a.m. But I think what you just said there is true, is like you put your body through these hard things, right? You put it through the ringer, no matter what it is. And if you can stay consistent and committed with that, I mean, there's 100% carryover in other things.
Yeah, and you just feel good about it.
You feel good about it.
Yeah.
Absolutely. I was going to say something else, and then I lost my train of thought. Absolutely. Oh, I think I was saying building discipline. Moving your body is hard. Yes. Getting your body moving, and especially in the morning when you get up, it's stiff and you don't want to move. But getting over that hump, it just because
it makes it feel so much better. If I work out at like midday or like 6 a.m, that 6 a.m. is gonna feel so much better because you force yourself to get up. Mm-hmm.
Absolutely.
And you put your body through pain.
Good pain,
obviously, and then that end result's just unmatched.
End result is unmatched. Yeah. The feeling, everything.
Yeah.
I have banana stuck in my throat. Yeah, I think because like moving our bodies takes so much energy.
Yeah.
It really teaches us that, you know, something like pushing through a couple math problems is a cakewalk.
Exactly.
Right?
Yeah.
It's like, if I could get up at 6 a.m.
Makes the little things...
or like putting away your laundry.
Yeah.
Like if you... And again, people will be like, well, there's no carryover. I think you have a wrong perspective.
Yeah.
You have to look at it like, it's not just building discipline in one thing, right? Everything is interconnected.
Yeah.
Right? Because again, I didn't want to belabor on like the benefits of physical activity, but it increases your focus, increases your dopamine, it increases your mood, blood pressure, weight, like a million things, right? And all of that is interconnected with how well you're going to function as a human, right? So if your body is in a good position, you're feeding it good things, it only makes sense that there's going to be carryover into other things too. But I think that takes a switch in perspective, right? Like you said, like you have to make the conscious choice to be like, this is going to help other things in my life, like math problems or, I don't know, whatever it might be. I think that's a huge, huge, huge distinction.
Yeah.
Absolutely. Wow, we talked about a lot. And I see I didn't need notes.
Yeah.
I knew once we get the ball rolling, we would just have all these ideas. So I just want to recap, just for my own mental sanity, what we talked about, because we said so much. 2 types of exercise. The one you really enjoy, and then the one that's just necessary for your body.
Yeah.
Like stretching, mobility, some weights. Again, we're not talking about bench pressing and all those. You don't have to do that.
No.
You can just do the corrective exercises, the things that strengthen your bones and ligaments. That is going to have carryover to any physical activity.
Yeah.
So there's a distinction between the two. If you happen to love stretching and weights, perfect, right?
Yeah.
But you're saying
Can be found in so many other things too.
find the one physical activity that you actually enjoy doing, commit to making progress in that, then you'll understand why it's important to do stretching and everything else, right?
Yeah.
Because you see the carryover. So those 2 distinctions are important. And then getting good at commitment, consistency, and discipline.
It's almost more you learn from that than actually like working out in a way.
100%.
Yeah.
Because like, you're sitting there, you're stretching your legs or you're doing
Your
a
body
squat.
gets the benefits, but also your brain gets the benefit too.
Like you've told me, you're on that 3rd set, 4th set of a squat, and you're like, I do not want to do 10 more reps.
Yeah.
But when you learn to push and do it anyway, and
That
you do
end
that,
result feels so good.
and you do that day after day after day after day, when you're sitting there with math problems and you're like, I really don't want to do this, you don't have to think about it. Your subconscious has all of that progress that you just start to do the math problems. And I've noticed it. It's not right away.
No.
You're not a freaking...
Nothing happens right away.
Yeah, nothing happens right away. It takes so much time. But I've definitely noticed it. I've noticed you complain less. I've noticed that, like you said, you're much more open to learning new things that you might have had resistance to in the past.
Because I've kind of accepted defeat on something before.
Yes.
Which makes me more vulnerable to accept defeat on other things.
That's important. I didn't expect you to bring that up, and I hadn't even thought about that. You're embracing failure, basically.
Yeah.
Because in the gym, I've seen you not do some weights you've wanted to.
Yeah.
I've certainly had my off days where I fail.
Yeah.
It's like a very low stakes way of failing.
Yeah.
Right? We just want to be able...
And once again,
Wow,
you can do it on so many, like a run, a bike ride, kayaking, as you, anything, literally anything.
Like, as adults, and even as like kids and teens, whatever, you need to be able to embrace failure.
Yeah.
In anything, right? You have to be able to fail, wipe the sweat off, dust yourself off, and get back up.
And do it 110% then.
Exactly. I think exercise and physical activity is the easiest and most low stakes way to practice that. Because what's the alternative, right? Throwing you in the fire, and then when you have a huge failure, you've had no practice with the smaller failures, so you're more likely to give up, right? Remember in the past, we would encounter some failure, and then it would set you back a while, and we almost had to like start from square one every time. I feel like now that you've had the practice of failing in biking, failing in lifting, we've, failed some hikes too, rock climbing. All of those little failures that are super low stakes and have no consequence have really helped you not fail in other aspects of your life that are more serious, like jobs, taking chances, learning new stuff, whatever it might be, right? I think that's incredibly important because I don't think that's really a skill practiced in school. right? You're just there to pass tests and learn, which is fine in some regard. But then you get to adult life. How have you ever practiced being okay with failure, right?
Yeah.
And I think exercise and physical activity is an amazing way to practice those things.
Definitely.
Right. And I think you need someone to be there to guide you. Nice. I'm boring you to death. Like, we hold each other accountable.
Yes, we do.
So it's really easy for us.
Not always in the best ways, but we do.
I think, what are bad ways to hold each other accountable?
Sometimes we not want to hear it. That's the thing.
Yeah. Future podcast episode as well. I think it's really good to have it a two-way street. Like, we've worked out together, and like yesterday, I was going to stop at a certain rep, and you were like, no, you're doing more.
I was yelling at you.
You were yelling at me in love, and I literally was going to stop, and then you and Owen were yelling at me, and I was like, I can't stop.
Yeah.
And vice versa. You know, you were yelling at Owen, and I was yelling at you and Owen. It's good. Like, that sort of two-way street is really nice, because if I was there on my own, I had a rep I wanted in mind, and I would have just failed.
That's another thing. You need somebody to do it with. That's a big part. You need somebody else to push you.
That's a big one, too.
And you need to push somebody else.
I think...
you need to find common interest with somebody.
Mm-hmm. Like mountain biking is not really my thing, right?
No,
we know.
hate it.
But I
don't hate it. It's just
it makes me scared because I fell that time. Like 4 or 5 times that day. Ate it completely. I think that's super important, and I'll add on to that is that sure, I'm the more like experienced lifter, but I allow you to push me.
Yeah.
Right? I feel like there's like this gym intimidation where because you're more experienced, the novice can't push you and motivate you. I don't think that's true. I've allowed myself to be motivated by you, that it only allows me to motivate you more now.
Yeah.
Because it's this awesome two-way street.
Yeah.
Same thing with biking. Like, I come from a different style of biking than you, but when you were getting into it, I immersed myself in it with you, and it really helped solidify that love. Same thing with your dad, and same thing with Owen and his dad and everyone else, right? You need these people around you to be there, and biking is not your dad and my favorite thing,
no.
But we did it for you, and that's what's important, right? So I think that's major also. Someone to guide you, to be there with you, to help you out.
And to just have similar interests with you.
Mm-hmm. For sure. And just be open-minded to experiment, right? For sure. So I think we touched about everything, honestly.
Touched a lot of things.
We've touched on a lot of things. So I want to just recap as well, just for...
Second recap.
Well, I tried to... The first recap, you added another thing onto it. So maybe we'll get to 10 recaps.
Will be dead by then.
I know, right? Find a physical activity you legitimately love. Yep. Mine is rock climbing. Yours is biking.
Yep.
Allow your love of that activity and your love of wanting to progress in it push you to do the more boring stuff, stretching and whatever else, because you know that's going to help you out.
Indeed.
Shift your perspective and realize that pushing yourself in the physical activity is going to help me push myself in all other aspects of life, right? Find people to hold you accountable and to do it with you, and people that you can push as well. And I think you're on your way, right? So I think that's like the beauty of it.
Yeah.
I think we touched on everything.
Yeah.